I took a degree in estate management at London University in 1961, emigrated out to South Africa in 1966, so I've been here ever since. And my career has been quite varied, and the valuation side is more concentrated on the expropriation side and on municipal valuations rather than general practice. So I have worked for SAIV for 16 years, and then I set up my own company and worked with that for most of the time, and then in the latter part of my career I was working purely for myself. I spent 25 years on the national executive of the SAIV, and my primary motivation in those years was to improve valuation standards in South Africa and also to secure property degrees in South African universities, because in 1966, 1970s, there were no degrees in South Africa in property. So those were my two objectives, and I basically achieved those during the course of my career here. The primary improvement in the property valuation industry was to secure South African recognition of international valuation standards. I spent 8 years trying to get onto the International Valuation Standards Committee. I finally did it in 1993 and represented South Africa on that committee for the next 11 years. International valuation standards were finally adopted many years later by the Institute and subsequently by the SA Council for the property valuation profession, but they now are recognized and mandatory really in South Africa, and this is one of the achievements I've been able to secure in my life here. I suppose the other thing I might mention is the hazards that the valuer sometimes encounters. In the 1980s, I was doing a series of valuations for the State Attorney with other valuers for the missile range at Bredasdorp. And one of the expropriatees with his coastal property was having a braai lunch for the 20 of us, valuers and State Attorney officials. And just before lunch, we went down to the sea shore, the rocky coastline, and went swimming in a little gully, and the doctor decided to go out in the bay, asked somebody to come with him. I was the only one to do so, went out into the bay, and when we got there the sea got up and he said, "How good a swimmer are you?" I said, "Fair to middling." So he sent me back to shore, and I ended up on the reef, had to come out again, but he said, "No, you head for that gully and that'll take you in and you'll be fine." So I headed for the gully, and a wave came behind me and I found myself 2 meters under the surface of the sea on a bed of sand with rocks on either side of me, looking up at the surface of the water, unable to move because of the pressure of the water. And it was quite considerable time before the ebb of the wash came back and I popped up like a cork. That is some of the hazards that you face as a valuer. I think the profession has developed quite considerably since I was on the national executive. I think that programs are now certainly well publicised and I hope well attended, and so the continued education of property values in South Africa is moving forward, and this I welcome. But what I'm concerned with is that even at university level, there are not many university graduates coming into the valuers profession, and that is possibly because there is not sufficient emphasis on valuation procedures. At UCT, for example, one of the prize winners told me that international valuation standards was not really mentioned during the course, and this is of concern to me. So I would like to see the Institute and the valuers profession pushing the universities to concentrate more on pure valuation. Well, as you can see from my meet, Robin Marten, I have had a very varied professional career, and it has been most illuminating. So my suggestion is, if you can expand your professional activities beyond pure valuations, do so, because it will only improve your professional qualification and standard. The Robin Marten Prize was granted to me at the end of my 25-year career on the National Executive, and really recognised what I had done over those 25 years to improve valuation standards in South Africa. And so I decided that because I had been an external examiner at UCT in their property degree, that the Robin Marten Prize should be given to the University of Cape Town. And it has been so for the last 15 years or more.